Good morning, traders. This is Chris Buss with Traders Profit Compass with your morning look at markets for Thursday, August 12th. Taking a quick look at futures, as flat as a pancake. So on to macro, we've got jobless claims this morning, we've got natural gas inventories, and we've got a 30-year bond auction this afternoon at 1 o'clock. Looking at earnings today, this morning before the bell, couple notable names, Palantir, Baidu, and Celsius. And then after the bell, we've got Wish, Disney, Airbnb, Rocket Mortgage, SoFi, and DoorDash. So there's a few names there that may be of interest to you. As always, folks, please run the video at 1.25x. That'll really increase your efficiency. New viewers to the channel, thank you so much for stopping by. So let's dive into it here. Had a really interesting day yesterday on 10-year bond yields. There was an exceptionally strong 10-year bond auction at 1 p.m. yesterday, and we saw rates be driven down because of the high demand. But then by 3 o'clock, those rates had bounced back up again. So that's showing some real resilience in the bond yields. And you can see here we're in the middle of the range between 1.4% and 1.3%. If you look, so 1.4% is going to be the first technical target on the upside. And then 1.45, there's going to be some resistance there as well. So if bond yields continue to either, hold their ground or go higher, that's going to provide some rocket fuel to the value cyclical financial trade that we're starting to see emerge. So the last thing we want to see is for bond yields to roll over and come back below 1.3%. Now over on TLT, obviously this trade's inverse to the bond, so TLT is now falling. And we said yesterday that we expected this 200 EMA, 50 EMA confluence to provide some support, and it did do that. So if you're interested in trading that, I would alarm 146. And then if you get a break below, that would be a signal to initiate a short position. And I think you've got a decent amount of downside to capture there if you're interested in it. You may also want to just alarm that level if you're in cyclical value financial type stocks. When you hear that alarm go off, you'll know that rates are rising again. So that would be a signal that, you're on the right side of the trade, as it were. So real interesting location here on TLT. Dollar was down a little bit yesterday. Not a whole lot to talk about. I think now we're in a trading range between this 93.2 and 91.8. So until we get either a big breakout or a continuation lower, I think this is going to be kind of neutralized within this range. Breadth, number of stocks above the 50 is starting to rise. We have been trapped down here in the low to mid 40s for a long time, and now we're up in the 55 range. So some stocks underneath the surface are starting to heal and improve, and that's a welcome sign to see that breadth expansion, at least by this metric. Also very encouraging, this is the equal weighted SPY RSP, and we've been watching this trading range between 146 and 152. We got the breakout, and this has been moving steadily higher, walking the 8 EMA with all the 8 EMA as in pink. And then we've got the 20 and 50 bullishly stacked underneath it. And I actually have this big uptrend line that goes way back, and we're starting to emerge above that trend line to recapture it. Also, I want to point out that for the last several days, the equal weighted SPY has been outperforming cap weighted SPY by a large margin, like 4x kind of thing, 3 to 4 times. So again, that's an encouraging sign that it's not just the big mega stocks that are doing the work. Whenever you see equal weighted and equal weight outperform a cap weight, that means the smaller companies beneath the surface are outperforming the bigger cap names. So, and we're not going to do it here, but if you wanted to ever compare the equal weight ETFs to like your XLE energy, you'd use this RYE, and that way you can tell what's going on besides just looking at ExxonMobil and Chevron, which is basically what you're looking at with XLE, and see what's going on under the surface. So there's some of the ticker symbols you can use on your own to compare those equal weighted performance to the cap weighted ones. SPY 2 hour, we're firmly in the upper half of the rising channel. So I think today, because we've been making such small advances, there's not any real big bars. We've got support set up basically at every dollar level. So I think first support here, you can stay long against 443. And then you've got another layer here at 442 where the midpoint of the channel comes in. And I really want to see that hold, the midpoint of this channel hold, because once you break below, then technically it opens up the door for a move back down to test the low side of the channel. And of course, we don't want to see that happen if we're long. So I think 443 today and then 442 are your pivot and then first support. And we see it really well right here on this SPY 30-minute exploded. We had the trading range, and now we're working our way up this little trend line I've got with 443 being that first little level of support and then dropping down. And as we said yesterday, what we really don't want to see is have price return to this trading range, and that would be kind of bearish, because then that would make this look like a false breakout. So, but all systems go so far. We'll just have to see how it goes, and as always, just trade level to level. QQQ 2 hour. This is the sector that's starting to see some headwinds, and we started talking about it over the last couple days. Rising rates will be somewhat of a headwind for technology. Now, how much of a headwind? We're just going to have to wait and see. But you can tell, last 2 days, big red opening bars, to start the day. Actually, yesterday, we opened higher, and we made a touch back up here to almost 369, and then they put the hammer down. They slammed this lower, and then the next candle as well came right down here to this 365 level that we had marked, and then put in a little bounce. So for today, I think it would be a good accomplishment for the Qs simply to hold 365 and to maybe build a little base here, maybe make a little progress north. But you lose 365, not much stopping it from going down to 363, 362 and a half. So Here it is on the 30-minute chart. You can see the last couple days, the opening bars have been really, really bearish. And so now this 365.50 is going to be your pivot for today. If price comes down and holds it, I mean, that's fine. But if it breaks, then you've got some intermediate targets down below where I would expect price to go. And I wouldn't be too eager to jump on QQQ long here. Just for the simple fact that we've got a little downtrend going here with a series of lower highs and lower lows. I would like to see, number one, price break above this little downtrend line and then break above 367. That would show, recapture this level, break the downtrend line, recapture that level. And then if it wants to go, you can get long at 367 and see if you can make 368.50. But as we'll see, the FATMAAN names have been really sluggish. And I have my doubts whether this can really get some horsepower until we see some progress on the FATMAAN names. IWM 2-hour. I want you guys to be ready. I want you guys to be ready at 224 to take IWM long. What we've got here, and it's been really choppy and it's been really tough trading this actively. But what we've got now is a series of a series of higher lows. We put in a low. We came back down here, and now yesterday they tried to break it, but it found support right at this trend line and put in a nice end of the day, up about $3 off of the low. And so now, if we can break above this 224, I think we got some room to the upside. And, I'm really hopeful that IWM can get it in gear here and give us a little breakout. And what I want to show you on the 30-minute chart is we've had a $6 consolidation between 218 and 224. You get a breakout at 224 here, your measured move is going to be 230. 6 added on to 224 would bring us up into the 230 range. And then I think the all-time high level was 234. And, maybe if these rates keep going up, we can get a situation where IWM may be the outperformer. But, that's all looking down the road. It's got to break out, and it's got a lot of catching up to do. So I want you to have 224 alarmed. Before we get into FATMAAN, if you're new here, thank you so much for visiting. Hit the subscribe button and the alarm bell. I will keep you loaded with actionable content and give you all the levels that you need to be successful so you can focus on execution. If you go over to the show notes, there's a link there where you can go over to the blog site, drop in your email, and then you'll get all my content morning, noon, and night whenever I publish a note or a trade idea or a trade adjustment or anything like that. You will get that, and you'll also get an invite to our trading room where we've gotten a lot of new members in the last few weeks that have added a lot of vibrancy and a lot of new ideas to the group, and I think it's really been dynamic the last couple of weeks. So we would certainly like to see you there. And longtime members, thank you for passing the link along to your friends and fellow traders. I really appreciate it. So let's get into FATMAAN. And, they've just gone soggy. Nothing really very bearish. but they haven't been doing anything either. You can see here on Facebook, I adjusted this gap. We made a little move into the gap and then it was repelled. So I've moved this up to 364. And you can see each opening bar over the last 3 days, they've sold. We opened higher each time and they sold it each time. And then the rest of the day has been chop. So we've got this little uptrend line here. The bulls just got to hold on to 358 and keep price above this uptrend line. You break below, that would be, a definite sell signal on this time frame. You get below 358, that opens up 356 and right on down the line. So if this thing's going to do something, it's going to have to do so like in the next couple of days. And if you get a breakout from this downtrend line and you sense that, the Qs, and Amazon and all the other names are turning green, that might be a nice trade to try to get up to 364 and possibly a gap entry. But try to get confirmation from some of the other stocks because, we've just seen soggy action. And, I have my doubts if one of these is just going to, go off on a moonshot by themselves. I think you're going to need to see a lot of the other names start participating. And, just like Apple here, it's been trapped in this range between 145.50 and 146.50 for a couple of days. Tried to make a run at 147.50 and got rejected each time. So we've got a clear line of support here at 145. If you want to try and trade this for $1 or $2, you're welcome to try. But you break below 145.50, I think you got to get out of that trade fast because I think then you're going to be looking at a down move there. It's just been a frustrating trade. If you've been, waiting for something to happen and all you're getting is, micro moves of less than $1, that makes for some really frustrating trading. Same thing with Tesla. We've talked about this. We know where the gaps are. We know where the uptrend is. We know where overhead resistance is here at 720. I mean, this has just been a time decay burn and a frustrating zone for anybody waiting for something to happen. And it just seems like this is going to take a little time to heal. And for me, I'm really not interested in this until it gets up and prove it can take out 720. And then that would open up, a $15 wide gap. And then the next level is 750. I mean, that's worth a trade. Down here in this chop, it's just a recipe for frustration. And, I don't think you need that right here. Make price prove something. It's either going to break down or it's going to break higher. But right here in this zone, I think it's just a bunch of indecision. A lot of the same comments with Microsoft. Made a bunch of runs at 290 and got rejected, each and every time. Now we're down here at this level, 286.50. I would not be surprised if this came down to this big level here at, let's just call it 285, 284.75. And then that would be a big level. And then, of course, we've got a gap down below. So I would not be getting too excited about Microsoft unless it broke above 288, and you got a lot of confirmation from the Qs and the other FATMAAN names that, they're coming to life. I would be skeptical of any little move, up in here. I want to see something decisive after. You can tell these, some good sized candles in here, and now they've gotten real small with a lot of indecision. Amazon has broken below, let's get it up here, broken below 3,300 yesterday. Came back at the end of the day to back test it. From a technical perspective, if it can't get above 3,300, then your next target is 3,250. We're back in the free 50 club mode where every $50 seems to be the move. So, if it breaks above 3,300, that technically opens the door back up to the bottom of the gap at 3,375, but been pretty weak. And you got to make price prove it here. And I would actually be favoring the downside down here at 3,250 versus, some big breakout here. But, things change. If you get a break above 3,300 and you want to give it a shot, just put your stop right below. So if it turns around, you get a quick stop out. Google, still the strongest in the bunch. They've made it go soggy, but they haven't even come close to breaking this. So as long as you're above 27.15, I think you can look to 27.60 on Google. Netflix, 0.67%, just drifting here between 515 and 508. I just would put that in the category of all the other ones. If you get a break below 508, that might be interesting to come down here to 500 and maybe actually all the way down to 480 if things get bearish. But I think you gotta have price prove it here on Netflix, and I'm not seeing a whole lot of encouragement in that direction. Same thing with semis. They've knocked it down over the since last week. Started slowly until it went quickly. They knocked it down to this 262 where there was a little bounce. And technically in the bigger picture, the breakout is still fine. Above 262 and above 258, that was the big breakout level. This may be just heading in for a back test of the breakout. And we said all along that was a technical possibility. You see that all the time, a breakout and a back test. And if we do that, then the real decision point comes at 258. And I can show you that daily chart. Here was the breakout. Now we've back tested this 262 and with the big level being 258. And as we just said, we don't want to see price come back into this range. So looking a little soft here. So let's get into some trade ideas. This is Wix, the website builder company. Had a bad reaction to earnings yesterday. Came down here, gapped down $20, and then just kept right on going. So you've got a level here at 215, and then you've got the gap opening at 240. That's a big range. Now the thing I want to point out is under 215, it goes way down. It goes down to like 140. So I expect some consolidation here above, like the final last chance to save it kind of thing. But you get a break below, 215, 210, especially on a weekly closing basis. I think you can take this thing short all the way down. And if it stabilizes and you want to get long and everything's getting bullish, you can get long against 215 and just a simple move back up to test this gap. That's $25. So that ain't all bad either. And then if you get the breakout, you go all the way back up to 260. So I'd like you to set yourself some alarms here at a minimum. And also, when you're doing your due diligence on this trade, just pull up the weekly chart and you'll see that big air gap down below where, there's not going to be anybody home below 215 that I can see. KRE, we've talked about banks. We've got the breakout on XLF, the money center banks, the Goldmans, the Bank of America. Citi is starting to move. I took a long position in Citi yesterday, as I mentioned. What are the other ones? Oh, some other financials. Morgan Stanley. I think I mentioned Goldman. JP Morgan is starting to move. And the KRE had been lagging a little bit, but now it's threatening this breakout at 67. So I took a small long there in KRE with 67 calls. See if we can get that breakout and then get a move back up towards 71, which was the prior high. I think a lot of these regional banks are going to be reporting in the weeks ahead. So KRE is a good place, if you think earnings are going to be positive, to just sit in this while they report, and then hopefully get the pop. So just a small position here, nothing crazy, but I do like the posture of the technicals with RSI breaking above 50, PPO rising and crossing above 0 into the positive territory. If we can get price above 67 and hold it, that would be really good news. I also wanted to follow up with you with Peabody Coal Company, BTU. Been in this a long time, and it hasn't been easy. Very volatile intraday, but this thing is grinding higher. Just the other day, we took out a big level here at 12 that had capped all the advances going way back into mid-July. You can see there was a rejection here, bunch of places in here. And just the day before yesterday, we popped above and made a nice move here. So what I'm looking for is a move to the top of the channel up around 15. I've taken all my positions and rolled them into September. I had a lot of stuff in August, but the reason I'm telling you it's really volatile, I've seen this thing go down 10% in the morning and go up 15% in the afternoon. 5% dips are common. But if you've got, options that are going to expire in 10 days, it's a thrill ride every day, and not in a good way, because the daily trend is up. So you want to stay in that trade. But when you see them knock 10% out of it, which equates to, $1.30, that moves those options like you wouldn't believe. So, for me, discretion was the better part of valor. And what I wanted to do is close those August calls out on a good day and then roll in and buy an extra month's worth of time and see if this thing can, grind up to towards this 15 number. But I think this is going to the 20s. If you look on the weekly chart, it's certainly open up there, and there's been a lot of call buying with guys just looking out in January. I mean, when it was 10, they were buying the January 15s, and it's been steady. I mean, you can see it's been steady. So I think the key is simply holding this midpoint of the channel. And if you want to get involved in it, I would use lunch money until you're comfortable with the stock. And what you want to do is buy the intraday dips. When you see it dip 5, 8, 10% on a morning, that's when you hit it. And then you accumulate on those dips because or at least the character of the stock is they buy it back up, and versus buying strength. That's not the way to trade this stock, at least so far. I've tried it a couple times. It doesn't work because they always knock it back. So buy the dip and see if they can, buy it up. And that's been the way to trade it. Clorox, big gap down the other day on earnings. This has been in a persistent downtrend as people, they bought every kind of Clorox wipe imaginable in 2020. And now, it's going the other way. So their sales are declining as people renormalize. So there was a gap down and some consolidation down here. Treat it as you would any other bracket trade. If you break above 167.50, you may get a gap fill. If you break below 160, it's gonna be a signal that the downtrend is resuming, and I think you can be short. Last slide here. Big breakout in home builders yesterday, and I apologize. I saw that. I got distracted, and then it was like too late. I did get my alarm, but we had talked about this level before. And if you had the alarm and you got long here, kudos to you. I like it. Stay long. For the rest of us, if we get a pullback day into 73, something like that, or even better, a back touch of 72, I would get long. The chart is shaping up, and I just saw it here. Got the divergent low. See here? Got a low here and a low here, but on momentum at the lower low, it was higher. There was your bullish divergence, and missed that. Those are usually money trades. So if you ever see a divergent low with building momentum, once you break back up above there, you can take that long, and it worked out in this instance. I think we're going to go back up to 77 at the prior high, and then that'll be a big test. So let's see how today unfolds. We got the jobless claims, that 30-year bond auction. We've got August option expiration next week, so keep that in the back of your mind. Let's see if this cyclical value rotation can get some legs under it and continue to drive higher. That's what I'm looking forward to. Be careful on the fat man trades. If you do get into something, don't get married to it, and be cognizant of wanting something to happen that's just not happening. That makes for a very frustrating day. Find the things that are working. You know, FATMAAN is great when it's working. It's fun to trade. You know, stocks move quickly, but when they get soggy, you've got to recognize that and then wait for a price signal that the stock is telling you it's ready to move again. So a lot of other stuff going on, and I'll continue to try and keep you guys pointed in the right direction. Hope you've been trading well. So let's wrap it up there. This has been Chris Buss with Traders Profit Compass. Talk to you next time.